cold here. It's like 30 degrees. I've got the Remedy. We're on the same page.
In New York, it's cold there.
Right.
No, I know. In Chicago, it's like 3 degrees right now, but I was expecting some Texas sun.
So we're live now, just so we know that there probably is going to be viewers watching. Hopefully joining in the chat with us. And so we have let's see, what do we have? 5 minutes until 12 o'clock. Well, or until we start. And are you guys? I'm very, very excited.
Yeah, I'm excited too. I have really enjoyed reading this book so far. I'm like on page 130 something.
Oh wow, yeah.
But I mean, we're pretty into it now. This book so far. But I have to scroll all the way back up on my book. I'm reading it online on this free copy.
Aha, pirates.
Yeah,
no, it's not even. It's an online library.
Thank you for that link, though, Karla. I'm using that too.
That's awesome
stuff.
No, it's all thanks to my friend Paige. They told me, and I was like, amazing. This is the best thing to ever exist. Free books for everybody.
It's convenient too, because I do most of my research and reading like on the phone anyway. Like I bought the collective works of like the Panther 21 and I lost it. Thank God that I purchased it though, because I'm able to access it.
You see that?
Awesome. That's really, really cool.
I know.
But like, so now I'm just reading it on my phone anyway. So that's like really,
I'm glad.
Yeah, I like both. I like all three. Actually, I like it my phone, my laptop, and the hard copy because like I'm dyslexic and I need all copies. Like I need to see them all. Like if I forget that I'm reading a book, I'll forget that I'm reading a book. Not Maroon The Implacable though. But
it's very like grabs you in, especially because it's essay.
Right, and I totally get what you said that you're falling in love with him because like I am too. Like the more like you start to learn who he is through his writings, just what a likable fella, It's just so wrong that he's not free. Well, hopefully. Not hopefully. This year is the year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This year.
I think that if everybody comes together and like we can put out a large net and get a lot of people into this, like and giving their attention to this and to him. And so
yeah, exactly. And also we're not going away.
Yeah.
We're not going to stop calling Governor Wolf, and we're not going to stop. We're not going to give up.
Yeah.
Which is awesome because like exactly. I mean, it's very, very wrong. And I just keep thinking like put myself in his place and like if that was me, I would hope to God that the troops were on the outside were rallying. Somebody would be caring enough to help try and do something.
Yeah.
Hence the reason why we have this book and the book club now. I love the way
education,
blossomed into like a whole book club now. Oh, or Maroon Liberation School book club. So I'm like, oh no, that sounds like a trap. It's good.
Well, I think that it's important.
A trap.
Well, like it blossomed from like an idea about the book, about this particular book, and then now all of a sudden it's a club. And I'm like, okay, this sounds like there's more books involved, which is awesome.
Oh, but there's a lot of books.
We have links of suggested reading materials.
What we're learning.
You should see.
Like every Monday, we're learning about. It's like an open bibliography of more books we need to read.
Yeah, right.
me to
I'm
watch.
looking forward to it for sure.
Yeah.
I
And the
was gonna
more
say, Remedy, you should see if you can find it online or like a audio books, because that's probably helpful for dyslexia, like hearing it instead of having to read it.
I like the audiobooks, but the voice that comes out of my computer is stupid. I don't like it. I changed it. I did, and they all sound like robots. You can do all this.
Yeah, you can change the voice. I mean, yeah, that's true.
I'm getting a new computer. Very excited. Very excited because I'm going to end up blowing this one up. Like, seriously, all the work I've been doing on this between my own personal work, editing and everything, and then now this endeavor its days are numbered. So my little pet Pudding, she was like, I hate your laptop and I want to throw it. I want to destroy it. I'm like, go ahead. And she's like, let's get you a new one. I'm like, it's in the works. And she goes, no. And she just like gave me a budget for a new laptop. So I'm blessed. Yes. Super excited.
Nice.
I know. Love her. She's fun. She's fun. So, okay, now let's see. Oh, yeah, it's 12:01. We're late for school. Okay, well, we can start this then. Or we can wait a couple more minutes. Let's see. I wonder what's going on YouTube page. Let's see. Looks like we're here. Okay.
Jen, do you want to talk about, because we missed last week, should we do like a brief rundown of what we missed? I think, let's see.
So
the second set.
What we're gonna do is we're going to wait a couple more minutes and see if anybody else joins, and then we're going to talk a little bit about each one of us are going to do a little bit of an intro kind of thing, and then we're going to go into I Am Maroon, and then from there we can go ahead and talk about whatever. Yeah, how does that sound?
Yeah,
sound good.
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay, so then we'll go ahead.
Mm-hmm.
Go for it. What were we saying?
Oh, I was just gonna say I'm gonna like do things on my computer now while I wait just for a second.
All right. So, hello and welcome to the Maroon Liberation School Book Club. My name is Remedy, and I am a revolutionary. I'm also a professional dominatrix from Los Angeles. I'm also a grandmother, a mother of adult children. I'm a tree hugger. What else? I'm a do-gooder. Yeah, so whatever. You can believe that if you want. I do good sometimes, but for the most part, I'm naughty. Anyways, if you get to know me, you'll get to know that you'll discover that. And this book club was started because of an inspiration in my life, and his name is Russell Maroon Shoatz. He's actually the author of the book we're reading. And I hope that you find this gentleman just as interesting and intriguing as we do. He's actually pretty, what would be a word? I'll get back to you with that word. But in the meantime, I'm going to introduce you to my co-host, Karla. And there she is. Hi, beautiful.
Hey, my name is Karla. I am 20 years old. I live in Chicago, and I'm an artist and dancer and student and activist, and I'm here to spread the message about Russell Maroon Shoatz and the Maroon Party, but also to just bring education to people on like a open platform so that we can be like reading this book and discussing it and sharing it broadly with people so that they can hopefully be interested in joining us. Yeah.
Excellent.
Hi, I'm Jen. I'm a revolutionary matriarch. Also a mother of 2 young children, one that's 2, my daughter Sage, and I have an 8-year-old named Hunter, who also is neurodivergent. And yeah, I'm really happy to be here. I'm also an activist that's interested in hyper local politics. And, we have to think locally. No, we have to think globally and act locally. And that is the way we're going to dismantle white supremacy and
Yes.
also further all of our evolutionary and revolutionary development. And I'm really happy to be here with the Westphere and to talk about Russell Maroon Shoatz.
Whoop, whoop. All right, excellent. So speaking of white supremacy, the blatant systemic racism that has been going on for generations after generation after generation. That's one of the reasons why he's probably still sitting in prison, or what's it called, in a human warehousing right now, because of racism, or systemic racism. Straight up. Same thing with all political prisoners, whether we're talking about Mumia or Leonard Peltier. And it's really scary because things have not changed. They really haven't changed. They really haven't changed. And that could very well end up being any one of us, unless we get the door open
so many people can't fathom it because they are white bodied, and so they don't experience, I, for example, I don't have that fear as you see day in, day out, there are white people that get off for violent crimes when there are Black people being incarcerated. And there are so many people in prison, specifically Black people and brown people, that are incarcerated for nonviolent crimes. And it's weed is legal in so many places now, and there are so many people incarcerated for small drug crimes. Political prisoners are different, but it's a systemic racism.
Mm-hmm. And the thing about it is I don't think it's just a white Black thing, a white people Black people thing, because they're gonna run out of people of color. They're gonna run out of us, and then the working class, the people that are still comfortable, that have jobs or careers,
right?
They're next.
That's the thing. That's the ironic part. And I'm coming from that sort of middle class, middle America, white people in Long Island, New York type of area, that the ironic thing is that fear of losing everything and being reduced to a state that is dehumanizing is what compels this notion of entitlement and racist attitudes. Yes, people, this is why I don't necessarily let my community off the hook, because a lot of people have this notion that you have to be educated to know better. But I see a lot of people grasping to find things that confirm their stereotypes, because they want to believe that they don't deserve that. They want to believe.
Well, and if you look at educated people who are Trumpies and all that shit, it doesn't matter.
And here's the thing, I am living proof that they fucking lied. Oops, I cursed. I'm sorry. I am living proof that they lied, because folks, that out. But I am living proof that they lied, because I ended up being quite successful early on, with my own business, without the college education and all that. And I was raised to grow up thinking that I needed the college. You got to go to college to be successful and to have your own business, which is all BS. It was absolute BS. And when I discovered how successful I was, and realized that I was actually running a business all on my own without these degrees or whatever, it blew me away. But I was so proud of myself. I still am, because I'm still successful. But they lied. And then once you peel back one layer of the onion, you see how many rotten layers of the onion there are. And it's all the way through and through. everything from medical, big pharma, large agro, food. I mean, everything is like BS, and all the way back to Christopher Columbus and the Pilgrims.
Well,
all the way back, literally, even before.
I know. I was so mad when I found out the Pilgrims and the Indians didn't make nice, that it was actually slaughter and everything else. Pocahontas was raped and she didn't fall in love with whatever his name was. John Smith. Yeah. Oh. Anyway.
I was educating myself yesterday about a housing activist in Los Angeles who is now on the city council, Carol Fife.
Mm-hmm.
And, she was talking about, like she was talking about all violence is state violence. And that is like such a powerful way to really explain how like the industrial prison complex is like kind of like this self-fulfilling industry that like underserviced communities are often like the communities that are impacted by racism, going back all the way to like Jim Crow and slavery, and like they have the most crime-agenic environments because they don't have the services, they don't have the education, and they don't have all the resources other places have, but what they do have is a heavy police state. So that's like such a great way to counter people that like look at community violence and are like, oh, well, what about nothing? Like,
right.
If you look at the history before, and there was always gangs, there were street gangs, but like talking about what exists now, like with the Bloods and Crips that are kind of more organized crime, like they're more like, like that was encouraged and like that was by design, basically because groups that were for self-defense, like the Black Panther Party, they took all the leaders and locked them up.
Community leaders, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, they sure did. And if they didn't lock them up, they killed them and ran them out of town. But they definitely dismantled, that positive influence and self-sufficiency that they,
and then
absolutely
a power vacuum of, instead of people that are leading with the thoughts of their community, that there was organizations that rose up instead that like were kind of the underbelly of capitalism, just kind of like all for yourself, like like that's why the RICO laws cover so much. And it's like, but you cannot discredit like just straight up racism, because look at what the RICO laws was originally pointed at. The RICO laws were development to get the Italian mafia. Like the Italian mafia now, they're all either in prison talking on DJ Vald's YouTube channel about like what they got away with, or they became legitimate business owners and moved to middle class areas. Like they developed like areas in Long Island where I live, heavily segregated. And it's like, why is one group of people able to legitimize themselves through their legs up being through organized crime? It's because they have white skin privilege because they're from European countries.
Right. It's because absolutely, because they weren't the ones that were, plucked from their homeland and like turned into slaves. They're not of that. That was those, people of color were chosen. The thing I don't get is the way our communities are not allowed to govern themselves. Like I mean, if we were like a village per se, and we had our children and that we wanted to teach them the way of life, standardized education would not be my first choice. I'll tell you that much. You know, and like homeschooling, you almost, lose your children if you try that. But this is land of the free. This is 2021. I don't know. I just I'm glad to be here reading this book because to sit and stand by and do nothing would be
literally is violence. That is also violent, is like being ignorant and not educating yourself about crimes that have happened. And like, even who cares if it's the US government like committing these crimes? Like we have to remain aware of like where we're living.
It's always been them.
Like,
yeah, and yes. I no longer call them, thanks to this book, the U.S. government. I call them the surrogate state.
Oh, I mean, okay, yeah, just the
state.
It
sounds a lot less official than the name they, taught us to call, to recognize them. Anyway, so are you guys enjoying the book?
Yes.
Yes. Yes. Excellent. Well, I have been too. The more I read it, the more I read it. Let's go ahead and open up the discussion on the book. Anyone got any thoughts on what we've read?
You broke up a little bit in the last part there.
I said, are there any thoughts on the chapter we've read?
Oh. I mean, there are a lot of thoughts. Jen, I feel like you
care to go share?
Off on it.
Yeah, I think Karla, we've been just blah.
Yeah.
Hear from the youth.
The youth. Oh my goodness. Well, first, I'm really grateful for reading this book so that I can like have more background on Maroons and like what the history of Maroons. Just like being a part of this organization, it brings it really full circle for me and just like affirms a lot of why I'm here. And so that's really wonderful. And like, I feel really closely connected and like passionate about learning about this. And so that's exciting for me. And I also feel really prepared and excited to help in any way that I can to get Russell Maroon Shoatz out of prison. Yeah, I mean, I've got a lot of notes, and they're scattered across all my notebooks. No, but there are pages for each chapter, so I don't even know. Like,
I know it just keeps on. I that's the other thing about being on my phone, because I copy paste, and I'm like, it's long.
And by the way, for the viewers that are also interested in helping the Free Maroon Now campaign, all you got to do is just do a search. Don't use the GOOG search engine, though. Use Start Page because it's a lot more secure and private. Anyways, check out like hashtag Free Maroon Now or Free Russell Maroon Now. Free them all. And if you go to Russell Maroon,
you drop the hashtag in the chat.
What's that?
Can you drop the hashtags in the chat? I can only do private.
Yeah, I was going to, but since you had mentioned,
I was trying to, but I can't. I don't know why.
Oh yeah, I can do it. I already have it queued up. I was planning on doing that. Absolutely. Hashtag Free Maroon. Okay, back to you, Karla. You got your notes or got any thoughts on what we read? The book, from the book.
Okay, well, I think probably what stuck with me the most, we're talking about revolutionary matriarchy, and so learning about Granny Nanny and like her role as a like fighting Maroon in some of the wars that were happening like in Jamaica, and so learning about that. And I have some notes.
The female or guerrilla, female guerrilla leader, and And there was something else they referred to her as well that made her look just sound like such a badass. You know, I'm like, wow, that's awesome. Yes.
I
And the
kid.
gay people that we talk about, yeah, Granny Nanny. Yeah, that it's funny because that's like one of the points that I liked as well, and I had highlighted. Oh yeah. Guerrilla spiritual leader. That's what. How awesome is that?
If I could add just like one little thing, which is kind of random and off the topic, but relating to like the relevant situation that we're in right now, when I think of like the treaty maroons versus like the fighting maroons,
Right.
like in context right now, I think of it as like the treaty maroons are like people that are pushing for police reform, and like the fighting maroons are abolitionists.
Exactly. Exactly. Or like the treaty maroons are like house slaves versus like field slaves. I mean, it's still the same thing though. In the end, I mean, when all is said and done, we're all people will be in the same place. That's not where we're at right now. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't matter what kind of whether you're a treaty or a fighting maroon. We all have to come together.
We all should be fighting. Yeah, to like, because I mean, so many people don't actually act on their words, and like people don't realize that words are actions. And like if you say that you're going to do something and fight and like try to help a cause, like you really have to, work and like educate yourself. And there are a lot of people that just kind of sit back and like let this all pass in front of them, like information and education. Like it's really hard to have people actually like want to process and realize like what situation we're in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People are comfortable and they keep their blinders on, even though now you can't like not see what's happening. You can't keep the blinders don't work anymore with the way the world is. It just doesn't.
Like open their hearts and really like care. Unfortunately,
I think they're more afraid than they do.
But unfortunately, I have to bring it back like that because I live in such a stubborn part of like this country. Like they're out there still trumping along, like, oh, he got acquitted now. Now they're marching today or like just rallying or doing whatever. I don't even know what they do. I think seriously, they're derelicts. They pull up to like parking lots with their flags and get drunk and like harass people that disagree with them. It's so pathetic. But they're out there today, all happy about like Cuomo getting exposed, and like there's a group out there. There's a group called Separate the State. And I am just like,
we need to abolish them.
Going on Long Island, because like literally like the other side, the left side of things are like, let's desegregate Long Island because this is ridiculous, and because this segregation is just fueling inequalities and like certain and like impacted communities like not getting the aid that they need. And meanwhile, these idiots are pushing back with Separate the State. Like, okay, fine. And you know what? You're all like backwards Republicans, so you don't want to be associated with New York City. Good. Okay, you go on and be yourself, because where does the most of the tax money in the state come from? It's crazy.
Ignorant don't know no better.
Yeah. Exactly.
I don't know if it was Jen or Remedy said something, but it was about like caring, but also being a fighting maroon, and it reminded me of the kind of breakup of like what communities and like, or it wasn't communities, but what happened. Let me find the chapter that I was in, with organizations that kind of failed to have a militant section, as well as like a community care. And that's like why things kind of crumbled for a lot of organizations. And so that can, yeah, and yeah, but I was just thinking about that and about like past failures and why it had like there needs to be both of those like elements. And if we don't have that, then we have to care about each other and want to fight for each other.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And it starts where you're at locally, like you were saying, Jen.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you
This book club is gonna be deep.
It's great to be like lofty and have these like ideas about revolution, but like you need to really see the person, like your experience, just your experience. That's not everybody's experience. That person suffering next to you that you're turning a blind eye to, like you could just easily be in that, find yourself in that situation.
And it's just a matter of time before people are. It's like Obama took out the working class, and so next, what's the next class? The ones that the career people that have careers that are comfortable, and like they're next. I try to tell my friends that are comfortable, like you need to be doing something because you guys are next on the food train. On the food chain, like you're next.
Yeah, and also there's no need, like I mean, we see it, all this learning about like the history of the Maroons and like the history of like the transatlantic slave
trade. Yep.
Like you see how like offensive it is to like Black people when like these Trumpers are like, oh well, this is just dividing our nation. Like, excuse me, like divide and conquer is like the oldest trick in the book. Like this has gone on for centuries. Like this has gone on as long as there's been wars, as long as there's been ancient civilization taking slaves.
As long as there's been unity. Yeah, absolutely.
This is why we have to follow the example of being the Hydra, and even when they try to dismantle and break us up, there's different people that can support each other, and hence it can grow.
Yeah. I think it's really cute in this chapter about I Am Maroon, about how like he like just so be that like that he came out, that someone else gave him this nickname. He escaped prison.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that like kind of this whole trajectory of learning about the history of Maroons.
Yes,
absolutely. What's sad though is how he went on to say like his name being called Maroon was like his badge of pride he wore, that turned into a heartbreaking toll. Like let's see. Okay. Yeah, I gradually began to learn about the Maroons. I became inspired by these audacious fighters, and the nickname Maroon became a badge of pride and a constant source for spiritual inspiration. I would later become sick at heart to learn of the short. Right? I mean, if you just go on to read it, it's like, okay, I'll read it without crying now. Let's not get emotional. So, I would later become sick at heart to learn of the shortcomings of a number of treaty Maroons. Other Africans were just, wait a minute, hold on, I missed a sentence. Sorry, my eyes. Let's try that again. Okay. Anyways, if you go on to read the last three paragraphs in this chapter, you'll know what I'm saying. I don't know. I probably read, let's see. I don't know about you guys, but I just kind of skipped around the book a little bit because of, suggested chapters. And I've read each of those chapters a number of times, and I'm probably going to read the rest of read this chapter again before going on to the next chapter that we're going to be discussing next week. And Jen, are you going to join us next week on the panel?
Sure.
Yay! Excellent. And Karla, would you like
here?
Would you be interested in leading next week's host? Being like lead host for next week?
Yeah,
because that would be awesome. That would be awesome. I mean, yeah. I mean, if you have like time, and if you don't, not a problem.
Ooh, and can we narrow down like 3 specific questions we want viewers to think to like kind of guide?
Yes, true.
And it could guide our conversation, because I'll just go off in a tangent and talk about whatever if you don't pull me back in.
No, I had some questions. That I could ask you and Remedy. Let me see. They're back in our chat. I think it was just to bring back to like the tenets and what we're learning in the Liberation School. What tenets did you think were like resonated the most in this chat, or in, I mean, what chapters did we read? We read one page like 49 through like 70 or 80 or something. But in those pages, like in the first week of reading, what resonated with you most, like, and what tenets did you really like take from it, as well as like what this whole like
okay, I'm sorry. So repeat the question so that we're all clear, including those viewers at home, because we're getting to like chat stuff now, but I'm not going to put into much of that because I just can't.
Yeah, here, I'm going to find it. Okay,
so we got some chat here. There's stuff in the chat, which is good. I guess I should pay attention to it. That's gonna totally stuff.
Yeah.
I can't comment in the chat. I can see your comments, but I can't see I can't type.
That's okay. You can talk.
Spirit likes these questions. We should answer this.
Okay. Yeah. So from pages 29 to 79. So like our first week of reading that I emailed out to like from the West Sphere to the Liberation School, and just like to catch up. Those were my questions. Like what resonated with you the most and why? So Jen or Remedy, if you want to answer. You have an answer?
I do.
Sure.
Okay.
Well, right now I'm just thinking I am Maroon, but I know that for me, like later in the readings, like revolutionary matriarch comes up a lot in this book.
Mm-hmm.
But I see a lot of indigeny and a lot of like
indigeneity.
Yeah, and mother centeredness, because
yes, definitely,
in order for Maroons, besides being like, brilliant at tactical warfare, like they really have to depend on, what they've learned being native to where they are. Although a lot of times, like in Jamaica, they're not native to that land. And so kind of just tapping into like being centered where they are, the Mother Earth centeredness, that like, like you need to be able to live off the land, not only for your survival, but also like that's giving you cover, like being able to purvey that land, like, like gives you the advantage, where like the enemy
just
soldiers are.
There's lots of benefits to loving the earth and to taking care of it as well, and like that's also, as the West Wind, something that we're like really promoting this year as well, like with our formation, focusing on Mother Earth centeredness and like really taking care of the earth around you, because we see it's like happening so clearly in front of us, And
talk about the devastation of
people again are being ignorant, and ignoring this as a real issue is something that we have to be actively fighting for right now. Like, not actually, they say that they want to, and they say that they're for ecocentrism or Mother Earth centeredness, but then they do nothing.
Yeah.
And like think that recycling and like those things will save them that are like still government run organizations.
Like,
recycling.
I'm sorry.
The whole recycling scam is, plastics or whatever. That's a scam. They're taking our plastics that we recycle for them, and they're dumping them into the ocean on the way to wherever they're shipping them off to. And that's why there's like 2 plastic islands like the size of Texas. Yeah.
That goes back to what I'm trying to interject, like, too, like, we need to realize that, like, right now, the way that we're living and, like, like this system and just like the way most transnational countries operate at this point is just not sustainable at all.
It's, it's so,
and like they're not thinking about what's going to happen.
It's so far out of control and so far out of our hands as far as the pollutants and the devastation, of natural resources on Earth, Mother Earth. It's horrible.
Yeah, and it's all due to capitalism.
But self-preservation, like the Maroons, they were all about adaptability and by any means necessary, whether that means they would have to go and find like locals, high up in the bush somewhere, or else, learn to live off the land on the run, learn to rebuild and like stay hidden, learn to fight. Like, I think of Bruce Lee when I think of them like dressed and disguised as bushes. I think of Bruce Lee like when he says you have to be like water, move like water, and like I just think of Maroons. Anyways, sorry, I dropped there.
Like, it's so mind-blowing to me that like I was listening to like a local leader. I forgot exactly who it was, but it was someone's live who's a local leader in like the Shinnecock Nation, which is, like close to where I am in Long Island. That's like Southampton. And she was talking about like we need to see like this destruction of the environment is very intentional. Like, she was talking about like way back in like the days, like the pilgrim days, that like how settlers came to Long Island and destroyed all their like sacred lands. Like, they started building on like ancient burial grounds from like back to the 1600s. And she's like, this was not by accident, this was because of masonry. Like, they knew how to follow the grid lines, and like they knew the constellation, so they knew exactly where to bury to like kind of like weaken their tribe and like their history. And it's like, like you could just see that happening now. Like, you look at like big business, they're always doing this stuff that it's not like, why would you do that? That's stupid. Like, that's not, you can't sustain that. You're putting like the rest of like humanity at risk for a business. And it's like, it's intentional though,
right. Really,
to be just aware of the intention and not necessarily the intellect, because I don't think you're really intellectual if you don't consider like love and like a deeper understanding. Like, that's not intellect, but you need to understand the cunning of the other side, and the fact that like they are taking notes at like a very surface level to use it against the other side.
Yeah. Well, All I know is the days are numbered. You can't go on forever just being a world of consumerism and capitalism, and it won't last. We don't need no more stuff, materialistic stuff. That's not what we need.
Yeah, and well, that's it's a trick too, and like
there's enough of everything that we on this every single person on Earth. There's enough resources on this planet for everyone to have everything they need, provided you know, whoever is controlling the laws and the everything, you know, standardized education, all the things, all the onion layers. I'd say we just stop eating onions. We just stop eating onions. Like,
I just blended some in my soup.
Soup. I'm fast. Time to fast. I don't know what it's going to take. Well, yes, I do. Who was it that said the only solution is a what? No, I'm just kidding. I didn't say that. Yeah, well, you know. But yeah, something's got to give. My mom used to say, God don't like ugly and very little beautiful. So, you know, and
Remedy, I can't. Your screen for some reason is breaking up, Jen. It's fine, but like Remedy, you keep like it's super glitchy for me. And I don't know if I'm for you. My Wi-Fi here. I'm like in the middle of the country in Texas. I don't know.
I think that's why. It's pretty smooth on this end. Let me see. Oh, it is, huh? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, you are glitching a little bit. I can hear what you're saying, but you are definitely glitching a little bit.
Yeah, but I can imagine first. I can just see you're like very clear, and like your words are like there's no glitches in what you're saying, but only Remedy. It's funny. I'm like, I can't really hear what you're saying.
That's good to know. I'm going to turn my camera off.
Oh, and then I was going to ask again a different question. What was something that struck you the most in this first week of reading? Like, what was an image or like a quote or something that really like resonated with you that doesn't have to be related to the tenants, just in general? I know I can go. For me, when I'm a very like visual learner, I'm an artist, and so it like makes sense that I like to draw things out, and when I see something really clearly, it just like makes sense to kind of take a note in like a drawing form. And so in the chapter Death by Regulation, which was written in 1995, let me see if I can scroll to it. Yeah, Death by Regulation, Pennsylvania Control Unit Abuses. This was very like graphic descriptions of the control unit, in which he was imprisoned for 22 years. I don't know if I'm mixing that up with 28 but just a lifetime. And just the description of the cells in the prison, it was just horrible, and it's so visceral too, and how he describes how they desensitize the whole area, just, and you can read one magazine per week, and you're allowed out of the cell for 4 to 5 hours of outdoor exercise a week.
Yeah, like on a visceral, like personal level, I was not surprised about that, because the 1 month that I did go to jail, like on pre-trial in Kern Valley, Largo, pre-trial is like a 24-hour lockdown facility. So like that is not, unfortunately, that's not uncommon in the prison systems.
Oh no, I know. Just
but
thinking
I mean,
about that for
saying like it didn't like surprise me that those were the conditions he was living in. But I think also in that essay, he talks about how the UN recognizes that like solitary confinement is torture, and we still like this is something that comes up all the time. Like this is still relevant today, that like we put people in solitary confinement, we put them in the hole for months and months at a time, and it destroys.
And they don't tell them when it will end, and so it's like literal. It's psychological torture, and
you don't know what day it is. It's just black. It's just always you don't
and to think that he had to go through that for 22 whole years and is still in prison.
Yeah, like that's insane.
Is just
insane.
And I think the way that he just lays it out, because you're reading this knowing that he's writing it from being in prison, and then just that chapter I think really hit me.
It's amazing.
You're like understanding where he is. More, and like where
amazing for
he can
him
be this eloquent,
to have this self-preservation, to be able to talk so lucidly about that experience. Because seriously, like 2 days is a long time to experience that. 22 years.
And I'm not even 22.
Yeah.
It blows my mind.
All right.
Remedy, we can't see you. Is that you're trying to help the audio?
No, I was chatting. I was texting in the chat and posting banners because multitasking. But I'm like, I have one ear on the conversation and the rest of my brain like focused.
How do you chat in the talk in the chat? Can you?
Yes, absolutely. If you right there on the right of your screen, I might have to screen share. But yeah, on the right there's like a little strip of it says comments banner. Maybe you don't see that.
I see private chat and comments, but I don't see where like I could add a comment.
So if you click on the private chat or comments, if you click on that comment.
Okay, so you would put a chat in at private chat
right in the bottom.
Okay, thank you.
Be like, yes,
let's see what Spirit said. You like water making its way through cracks. Do not be assertive, but adjust to the object, and you shall find a way around or through it. Yes, to know. I think he was like referencing the Mother Earth centeredness, like knowing maybe like where to go, and knowing the area that you're around, and being adaptable, and keeping present. And thank you, Rosa.
Yes, they were good comments.
The Earth-centeredness, true systemic commitment.
So, if anybody cares to see this video, it will be edited and reposted. Not today, but sometime this week. I got to drive out to Joshua Tree today. Oh my God.
Oh, okay. Well, if we're talking about this chapter, Death by Regulation, I think it's an important one. I also think we have time to talk about the second week of reading, because I think the last chapter as well, the Dragon and the Hydra.
Absolutely. We're going to go through the whole book.
But yeah. Do you want to talk about that one, Jen? The last chapter that we read this week?
Which one are you talking about?
Dragon and Hydra.
The Dragon and the Hydra, historical study of organizational methods. And it was kind of a critique of Marxism and communism. Lenin,
I think maybe we should save this for another conversation, because this is a lot.
We have 10 minutes. Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah, thinking next week, like maybe keep what we have right now, and then maybe next we should focus just on the Hydra.
Just on that. Yeah, that sounds great. That sounds fantastic. I'll reread it as well.
Yeah. Oh, and Rosa's asking what our assignment is. So maybe our assignment should be to take a deeper dive into the dragon and the Hydra and come with things
that sounds good.
to discuss.
Can come with some questions. I've been thinking a lot about people, especially my age, that are like so-called communists or like idealizing Karl Marx. And I'm like, well, I don't know.
The whole concept of like democratic centralism, like amazing. I was talking to Remedy about that before. That's like like I've had a personal just type of ideology where I feel like it almost doesn't 100% matter like what system per se that like you really gravitate more of whether or not like a top down organization, and top down organizations are always repressive, whether it's communist, socialist, or capitalist, although capitalism has its own unique set of issues though too. But like I believe in collectivism, but like I would not align myself with like Russia or China at this point either. Or I was describing as like a top down type of power structure. He kind of like puts up as democratic centralism, which is like like just which is so
there's inherent problems with having.
Soon as you try to consolidate power and put everyone into this big,
especially with men are dangerous, and I do not trust them. So most of them. But
okay, that's
okay. So next week, Dragon and Hydra, basically.
Thank you all for tuning in to this week's Book Club. We will see you guys next week at the same time, same bat channel. Thank you all for joining us and taking an active role in, liberating yourselves. So for your mind, for your people.
Yes, and for next week as well, I want to say that this week we read pages 73 through 131, which ended with Dragon and Hydra. And then next week is a little bit more, so it's 130 to 191, which is 60 pages. So pace yourself. And then the week after that is a little bit lighter. It's like 30 something pages. So next week is a little more reading, which you can anticipate that. Yeah, free them all. And Dragon and the Hydra, nice choice. Key chapter.
Okay. Thank you all.
Okay. All right.
Bye. Yes. Hey, don't forget, there's a party tomorrow.
There's a party tomorrow. Tomorrow is Monday.
Monday.